And that if you have a consistent thought process in motion, well, your ability to reason is always there. You can square up and analyze things. You know, if it's the end of the world, it's the end of the world. You can't control that, but you can control what you do and how you prepare and whatever. But I'm the velvet variety. Nothing I do is illegal, and that's why we're so dangerous. Yeah, nothing. You know, the reason secret society type stuff works, and that's what velvet techniques are, is simply because it's unstoppable. Why? Because it's not illegal. It's not illegal for a network to take over a corporation. It's insidious. They hate it. They fear it more than neutron bombs, but it's not illegal. It's not illegal for the neocons to take over the Republican Party. It's not illegal for a handful of Hebrews or their Aryan helpers to hijack the Republican Party. It's insidious, but it's not illegal. It's not illegal to take it back. Those are tactics I do. It's not illegal for problem, reaction, solution, and to throw a jack in. And I'm going to go into that. You know, you need to always analyze any power situation in Western civilization, from white females at latent positions of power. I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into that maybe after I go into Russia. But let's go into Lone Ranger now. Lone Ranger, Lone Ranger, Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger has been a problem your whole entire life. Lone Ranger has sold you out more times than anything in the history of the world. A Lone Ranger are white males generally that look like us, and sometimes females. A lot of times females, but generally white males who look like us, who don't do what's good for us. Why? Well, true information doesn't mean anything to them. They're too demoralized. The self-hating white baby boomers, I call them the Schwabbies. They are dangerous. They are mentally disturbed. Some of the most mentally disturbed ones I know of are the so-called Republicans, the so-called conservatives. They're not conservative at all. They're communist. Their operation tactics are communist. Their family background, they're connected to communists. And I'm not talking about the neocons. I'm talking about household names that you think are your friends. They're not. They'll cut your heads off. Literally. They'll put you in pitched battles with Bolshevik style, because that's what they are. That's what hijacked your party. Now, can they be gotten out of there? Sure. But John McCain was a Lone Ranger. He was a very dangerous thing. To me, it was very, very dangerous. Or you know, my information was, or he's the greatest actor in the history of the world. Well, you take your shot. Most of you look at appearances. Well, John McCain can have power because he's a white rabbit. Putting someone like him in is dicey, because everything he does is going to be pretty much similar to Obama, except we can't do anything about it because nothing's racial. If you get Obama in there, everything he does, every sentence he speaks, every appointment he makes to the Judiciary Committee or any government agency, or heaven forbid a Supreme Court. I don't know when you're going to hear this, but he's going to be making appointments. Everything's going to be racial. That's good. That's good. I know what you old conservatives look at the past. They can't stand seeing a mulatto as president. Well, that happened way before I was born. You know, in 1965 there was an Immigration Act. You have a country, a republic, not a democracy, a republic founded to maintain posterity, for us and our posterity. Posterity, some say, was capitalized in the original documents. I don't know that. But posterity means kith or kin. Posterity means that the only people that can get citizenship are Europeans. That's why the Statue of Liberty points back to Europe. Yeah, it doesn't point to Africa, it doesn't point to Mecca, it points to Europe. That's where you're from. When you give up posterity, whether it be without a vote, whether you get hoodwinked, whether the people behind the Hart-Celler Act, that people that finance that, and the other things all over Western civilization, or the people, maybe they had Teddy Kennedy on the hook, who knows? Someone does know, though. But all you know is you lost your country right there, because if it comes to a vote, they're going to outbreed you. The good news is, white sharks don't outbreed seals. They don't have to. That's natural law. Yeah, I mean, I don't deal in voting politics, so I don't worry about voting. You think voting works? Well, it does sometimes it doesn't. But you lost that before I was born, so I don't get worried about the past. The regret is useless to me. Two things are always useless to Horace is the past. The past deals in regret. I can't change the 50s. You're never going to see the 1950s in. That may be good news. That may be the best news you ever heard. 2050 may be fantastic for us. But right now, what's in front of me is not a bad thing at all. Obama got elected. Okay, wonderful. How can I use that to my advantage? Well, this isolates Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger's done. See, Lone Ranger can exist on a bus ride. Let's say you're on a bus ride out in the suburbs. You got all kinds of Lone Rangers. You got Lone Rangers for days on that bus. Why? You got a handful of token Africans, a handful of token Asians. You got Lone Rangers for days. A Lone Ranger doesn't exist on the bus with me. Right now, you're at 10% of the planet. Everything's bearing down on leaders of so-called Western civilization. Why? Well, there's no such thing as Lone Ranger. A Lone Ranger has to go, and you got all these people in power that they're stuck with that true information doesn't mean anything to. So it becomes funny for someone like me to watch. Once you know how this stuff works, it becomes hilarious. Obama makes everything racial overnight. That's wonderful. You might as well get honest. One morning, I got hurt very, very badly. Some of you, many conservatives were like this for years and they didn't realize it. Many liberals were like this for years and they didn't realize it. There's good people that are upset over some of this stuff on the left and the right. But I'm not idealistic, so I'm on neither. I'm a fifth position. But I'll explain that to you as well. But one morning I got hurt very, very badly. I did not realize how bad I was hurt until I saw the blood, until I saw people's faces, and I had to get fixed ASAP. Maybe some of you have been cutting in the kitchen, or maybe you were in the military and you got hurt bad. You didn't realize how bad you were cut or how bad you were hurt until you saw someone's face. Well, you've been in that state for a long, long time. The good news is, John McCain can have a great deal of power. He's a white rabbit. That's why they're so dangerous to us. The Hebrews that sell us out, that look like us, that hate us, basically are dangerous because they look like us. That's all. They can have some power for a while, but natural law. Lone Ranger gets isolated. At 10% of the bus, he cannot exist under natural law. By the way, at 10% of the bus in a tribal world, and the world is very tribal. Every tribe has its own website. Every tribe wants its own territory. That's good. Lone Ranger can't exist in a tribal world, nor can market-dominant minorities. The premier market-dominant minority on the planet are Hebrews, the Jews. They can't exist in a tribal world. The greatest trend going now is the trend against market-dominant minorities. It happened when Suharto came to power, and I want to say he came to power in Indonesia in 1998. Don't quote me on that, but he came to power, and that marked the end for market-dominant minorities. The Chinese have been taking losses all over Southeast Asia, all the way to Philippines. Yeah, they got affirmative action against the Chinese in the Philippines. They're taking losses. Market-dominant minorities are taking losses. Europeans, the Chinese took a lot more losses than the Europeans in South America. The Europeans in South America have been taking losses, sure. Market-dominant minorities do not do well in tribal worlds. The Hebrews are taking heat. The oligarchs, a lot of oligarchs were Hebrew. That's a market-dominant minority. The oligarchs in Russia got clobbered. They can't exist under natural law anymore. They got to mind their own matters. They got to work a different game. On the bus, on a bus in a ghetto, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. There's no such thing. And heaven forbid there be a lot of Muslims on the bus, because there's no such thing. And Hebrews and Muslims don't mix. Maybe you just got up. Maybe you just woke up today, but that's the way it's working. That's the way it's always going to work. Yeah, I know they're trying to retool it. They're trying to get the Ottoman Turk thing going, and they're trying to have the Turks redo Islam. Well, you're way late. You're way late. That ain't never going to happen. Other parties aren't going to allow you to do that. They're going to hand you your head way before. But but that's a nice try. It's a little bit too late. You should have done that 50 years ago. Someone was way ahead of you on that one. Way ahead. But Lone Ranger doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't exist under natural law. He's being isolated by the environment. He's being isolated because you're on the bus with me in the ghetto, basically. You're at 10% of the bus, spread out over the whole top of the planet. The biggest problem in the world is that Europeans don't have any effective leadership outside of Russia, and they don't have any racial leadership at all outside of Russia. And Russia, it's Russia for the Russians. Everyone on the world planet knows what it means, except white nationalists. White nationalists don't get that for some reason. Yeah, they think they're waiting for torchlight parades there or something. That ain't the way it works now. Although who knows? Who knows what could happen? But Russia's the next segment. Yes, Lone Ranger has been fully isolated, and I'm going to go through a scenario with some talking points on how to shove them out. You see, you got a golden opportunity to